everybody. We're here today with Inbaal. She is a psychic tarot reader and teacher. And we are going to be talking today about astrological correlations and correspondences in the tarot. You want to introduce yourself, a little bit about what you do, all of that kind
Absolutely.
of stuff.
Thank you so much, Ellie. So I'm so excited to be here. And I am the biggest tarot geek. I've been involved. I've been reading the tarot, been involved in the tarot life, and I have been living my life alongside the tarot since I want to say 1994, 1995. So that would be when a lot of your viewers were still learning their alphabets. And I met the tarot when I lived in Greece, and it was love at first sight. I mean, how could you not? I'm a very colorful person, and I found the colors and the images of the tarot really exciting. And in 1997, 1998, I started reading the tarot part-time professionally. And in the year 2000, I just left all my other jobs. It's a real immigrant vibe, you know. You have lots of jobs because, you know, that's how you do it. And started reading tarot professionally as my full-time job, which was such a dream come true. I was 25 at the time, and that was a long time ago, and that is still what I do every day. I rarely take days off. I love getting my hands dirty with a tarot and looking at people's problems and how to solve them. And I fully believe that everything comes right in the end. That if you keep focusing and you keep living your life and you keep believing, you'll have all the good news and everything will come true for you. And working with a tarot for that kind of length of time, I've seen that it really works like that. And via the tarot, I was then introduced to kind of all the different arenas within the esoteric world, and the tarot has got very strong links to astrology, so that got me started down the astrology path. And even though I'm not like a learned, like an educated astrologer, I don't have any qualifications, I'm self-taught for everything that I could do, I then kind of took astrology and ran with it, and I've done like the monthly stars for Elle magazine, which was mind-blowing just to get to do that.
It's really cool, by the way. That's really fucking cool.
That's exactly it, because when they rang, they're like, can you send us some examples? And at the time I'd done some horoscopes for London, which was the Israeli Hebrew magazine in London, where the main qualification for getting hired there was speaking Hebrew at a good enough level to write in a passable kind of way. Yeah. So I did their stars, and I did the stars for Alternative London magazine when it was like brand new, within their first like 6 months. So when Elle rang me and said, can you submit some samples? I was like, sure, I got samples. But I said to them, but I'm not an astrologer. And they kind of looked at it and they're like, no, you're the Elle astrologer. And not having any qualifications really sort of puts you in that mindset that maybe I can't do this. And I am obviously self-taught. Yep. But I'm self-taught. When I started doing the horoscopes, it would take me about an hour and a half to do like 50 words about a specific star sign, because I've still got them. Yeah, I've still got my old ephemeris when you couldn't get it online because there were no smartphones. And even though when there were smartphones, you couldn't just go into ephemeris.com that you can now. Let's see how many years I've got these going back.
I used to have some of those in book form too. That's cool that you still have them.
Oh no, they're fabulous. I still love them. So 2005 is my oldest one. So I would open. even the font looks kind of old, but I think it's the same font that they use on ephemeris.com now. But yeah, I think you can see how like worn it is, because I would sit with it and go, right, so I can see an R then next to Jupiter. Oh, I know why that little R is there. So I was self-taught,
Yeah.
but same as with the tarot, because I was self-taught, I was so invested in finding all the shortcuts that maybe other people sort of knew. So the tarot was kind of my my gateway drug to everything else, So if I to color healing and color therapy, and via the tarot I can understand crystals better, because crystals relate to color and color relates back to the tarot. So for example, for me, one of the nicest cards in the tarot is the Star, and this is the Thoth star, and it is Aquarius. And doesn't it look exactly like how you think Aquarius is? Like if you dream of Aquarius, this is what your dream would look like.
This is what you're dreaming of.
Yeah, exactly. So you've got, for me, those colors really associate with kind of the humanitarian and selfless nature of Aquarius, and how it's really sort of about the mind, because we've got like everything glowing onto her head, and you know, we've got a star, and you know, we've obviously got the water, but she's got like one foot in the water and one outside. We've got the crystals there, and the crystals show kind of a clarity of thinking, which is a very Aquarian quality. And I think when you look at kind of other decks of tarot, a lot of the cards look similar, and they'll have like the same kind of color palette or the same kind of style running through. But if we put Aquarius, for example, right next to Leo, that's a very different story, isn't it?
Yes.
Doesn't this look like how you'd want Leo to look?
Yeah.
And this card is called Lust, and it's very exuberant and you know, clearly so fiery. I'm trying to sort of hold it at an angle that you can really enjoy it, rather than sort of getting the reflection of my light. And here we've got a naked oiled woman on a seven-headed beast. If any of you had been to Bible school, I'm sure that looks very, very familiar. Myself, I know nothing of the New Testament. I'm an Old Testament girl, so I didn't really know that this has to do with revelations and kind of biblical connections. But for me, this is very, very Leo, and very, very passionate, and very, very sensual. And fun fact, this cup that she holds aloft has always looked a little bit like perhaps a vulva to me. And because it's got like spots, then sometimes I see this and I have to say, have you been kind of itchy?
Okay, funny.
But not always, not always. So I think for me, what's really interesting with the tarot, which perhaps is unique to the tarot, is that sometimes I'll read for you and this card comes up, and this part of the card will be important, and the rest of it will be totally irrelevant to your reading. And sometimes it'll be this part, and sometimes it'll just be the number up top. Whereas I think for you as an astrologer, everything matters, everything is important, and every last detail, do you know what I mean? Every last detail helps you get a fuller analysis of what you're looking at.
Yes.
With the tarot, for me at least, I'm an intuitive tarot reader. Again, not a scholar. When I sort of set off to start professionally, I had by then read a total of 2 books on the tarot, but I practiced like a psychopath, day and night. I always had them in my bag. Do you remember the oversized bags of the 90s?
Yes, I do.
Full of tarot cards. So with practice, I learned that if I have, say, 3 cards coming out for a person, then what the reading would hold in its essence. It could be just one or two messages. What I look for is what the cards have in common with one another. So I'm distilling the common denominators as opposed to looking for every last detail. And I think that makes the tarot really fascinating, because in palmistry, you want to have every last detail. In a crystal reading, you want to have every last detail. In astrology, absolutely, you want to leave no stone unturned. But if you were to pull out all 78 cards of the tarot and relate to every last bit of symbolism, every reading would take 3 years, and we just can't work like that. And one of the things I'm most passionate about is my availability and my affordability, by which I mean I will do you a 1-question reading. I don't mind. If you've got 1 question, come to me. If you've got 3 questions, come to me. I have a product to suit every budget. So sometimes I've got somebody coming to me with a specific question, and I'll have lots of information coming up, but I have to distill that specific piece of yes or no, that specific piece of how that person feels about them, that specific outcome, whether that house is the right one for them or not, or whether that career change would work out or not. And it's not going to work without being able to hone in on exactly what you're looking at. And also, it's not going to work without confidence, because it takes huge balls to say to somebody, stay with your husband, it'll be worth it in the end, if if things are a question. Do you know what I mean?
I do know what you mean, especially if you know it's not what they want to hear, or you already get that vibe that they're going to be pissed that I'm going to say this.
Yeah, no, it's actually a really, really good point, because that's something that's not unique to the tarot, and I'm sure you're having to say that to people again and again, because you have, as an astrologer, you have the insight of exactly how things are going to be next year. Boy, 2019 must have been funny for you.
I definitely saw that there. I mean, I will not say that I predicted the pandemic, but I did definitely with Uranus moving into Taurus, there was definitely going to be some shit that was going to come down and really shake up our stability. Like, yeah. And
it did.
Yeah, it did. Yeah. I didn't know if it would necessarily be something like that, but yeah. Yeah.
No, it's actually, it's an interesting concept, because any of us can only predict within the scope of reference of what is logical, reasonable to us. And I actually remember people predicting 9/11 when I was, already practicing, but not knowing what it was that they were predicting. And I didn't, but on 9/11 itself, I was working a psychic fair, and a lady came to me, and she just sort of sat like really white in the face, and she was like, "Can you see anything coming up?" And I was like, I can see a trip, but you look like you're waiting for me to say something, and I don't know what it is that you're waiting for me to say. And she's like, "We have tickets to go to New York, and we're just scared that it would happen again." So, so I did have to do readings around it. But at the time when it actually happened, I had quite a few messages from friends that said I kept dreaming about towers burning, and I thought it was just like the tower card, and didn't expect there to be an actual tower burning, because it's not within your frame of reference.
Yeah.
So of course you're not going to make a prediction that everyone's going to have to stay indoors for 2 years, because how can that be?
Because that has never happened. That is it's never happened before. But even that, the uniqueness of, Uranus is unique. So even that and novel, and even that, I mean, I still would have never predicted the actual pandemic, but yeah, definitely something shaking things up and different, something novel that we haven't. Yeah. But that's interesting, though, that people said they had dreams about towers.
Yeah, because in the tarot, you've got the Tower, which is it's got like different older names: the Burning Tower, the House of God. It's a representative of the Tower of Babylon. There is really a lot of Bible there. The Tower of Babylon that burned down as punishment for mankind. And this is what it looks like. You've got a tower on fire, collapsing, and people were dreaming about it before. Now, I actually want to make a point about what you said, that you wouldn't have predicted the pandemic, because when you look at things for yourself, when you make predictions for yourself, like I said, you predict it within your frame of reference. But when you predict stuff for other people, I believe that even astrology would include a certain amount of channeling in it, because you're not just dealing with the science, you're also dealing with your interpretation of how things, relate to one another. And had somebody come to you and said, can you make some predictions for 2020? I'll bet you that if you had put pen to paper, finger to typewriter, and put things down, then there would be clues that would make it much more as if you had predicted it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, there probably would. Yeah, if I had really dived in to that, there probably would have been. Absolutely. And the thing that you mentioned about like channeling, you bring up a good, okay, I would never call myself a channeler, right? Or anything like, I would never use that term. But sometimes when I'm doing stuff for people, I'll look at their chart and I'll have like a phrase fly across my mind, or I'll see a picture of something, or something like that. So I guess in that sense, things do come, you know what I mean? And
what you're describing are clairvoyant skills. There's kind of a new word. It used to be the three clairs. We used to call them clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience. And I feel like social media or the newer age had given us the word claircognizance, which is just knowing stuff, which pretty much all women kind of have, also a few men, because we know stuff, guys.
you do know stuff.
When you're like, how did you know? We're like, I don't know. It just, it just came to me. So what you're describing is literally something I built a career over. It's definitely a thing. It's definitely a type of channeling. It's definitely a type of mediumship. And even though you don't think of it as like pure channeling, because it's via looking at their chart that you make that connection, I believe that a lot of those things kind of act as a antenna. And I believe that when I work with tarot, I'll read stuff from the tarot, and then all of a sudden there'll be like an image or a sentence exactly like how you describe. And when I work with a crystal ball here and there, let me pull one out.
Oh, do you? Right. Now that's cool. Let's see that.
They're beautiful. Yeah, so this is my crystal ball.
I like it.
And thank you. And as you see, it's got lots of clouds inside it. And clear crystal balls are beautiful, but they give you like nothing to work with. With the clouds, I find that I've got at least something to kind of, hone in on. And, it's really like looking at the clouds. So if I've got something that, say, for example, for you, I've got something that looks like a jet, like a jet plane, but it's the big thing about it is how fast it's going and how it's going at a direction that's slightly different to where it's supposed to go, but it's getting to exactly where it wants to go. So you yourself have got some interesting changes coming up that will take you at a different angle.
Well, that makes sense, because there have been some very shit kind of did a whole not bad, weird, not bad, but strange.
Yeah, oh no, I am here for the weird stuff. So with a crystal ball, because I feel like I really get very, very little from it, but I feel like the main value of it in reading is in being that kind of antenna and allowing me to channel stuff. And so when you say I'm not a channeler, it might be because you think, well, I'm not a pure channel. But even mediums that stand on stage and appear to have no tools at all, they will have some mindful tools, some things that they may have learned. There might be a specific trigger, a way that you hold your fingers. And people that work with psychometry, so that's when you let them, hold on to your ring, and then they'll channel stuff just by holding on to something of yours. People used to always do it with rings. Now somebody will just hand you their phone and you're like, no, this is just, the stakes are too high with the phone. If that thing breaks.
Now that's interesting that you bring that one up, because sometimes like I love antique and vintage stuff, but sometimes I will like I'll pick up something right at a store or whatever, and I'll be like, oh, this feels really nice, right? Like this has really nice vibes. And sometimes I'll be like, God, this is gorgeous, but this has some funky shit coming off it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And yeah, not all the time, but it definitely can happen sometimes.
Absolutely. No, it does do that. And when I was a very young psychic, I was fortunate enough to get called to a TV show. It
Which is
sounds
awful.
it sounds so crazy, but 20 something years ago, you didn't have like all the psychics on all the platforms. The platforms didn't exist. We are talking 10 years before Facebook even launched. So basically there was TV studios that wanted to do something with psychics, so they picked up a physical copy of the Yellow Pages with its pages that were yellow, and phoned the 20 psychics that were listed there in the listings under psychics. So I was one was one of those 20, and I came in for an audition, obviously smashed the audition, and so they pitted like two psychics for each sort of segment, one against the other, and we'd have to do readings for actual celebrities. I know, but we didn't know who they were. So they'd have them in like a balaclava and like a cloak, and we just have to do the reading, tell the researcher what we could see, and then they type it up for us and we go and say it on camera. And so I'm there sort of taking out my cards, typing up my stuff, and I see that my competitor, that the other person that was on with me, was getting the celebrity to come back from the green room, and they ran to me and they're like, you know what happened? I'm like, no, I don't know what happened, I'm doing this now. You know what happened? He gave the psychic his dad's watch, and so the whole reading that he gave was about the celebrity's dad, because the watch was an old watch. So now he's doing it again. And I was like, I don't care. I'm pleased. I had like 1 minute with the guy. It's tarot cards. They're telling me everything. I don't even need the guy there. So that was sort of a really interesting, really important lesson, because I'd only been in business for a few months, but that doing psychometry, you would have a lot of what do you call them? What do you call the sand at the bottom of the ocean?
The sand at the bottom of the ocean?
Yeah, sorry. A lot of,
Like,
I don't know.
like muck?
Yeah, but not dirty. That you still have a lot of input from the person that owned the item before you did. And so many years later, when I think it's pregnant with my youngest, I had to go and film for some program that never saw the light of day. But but it was all right. They paid. So I had to go and film for it in a new age shop in London, and now I live very far from London. So it was like, it was a big trip, and I was sort of very newly pregnant. I was sweaty. I was craving sushi. It was a whole deal. And I got there, and they're like, can you do a reading on camera for this guy? I was like, no problem. Do you want me to hold on to something of yours? And he took off a necklace, young guy, fabulous, like little like shell necklace, super trendy. I'm holding it and I'm doing the reading, and he's like, I'm not really sure. And I said to him, but this is your necklace, yeah? And he's like, no, it's my friend's necklace. And I said to myself, Inbaal, that is on you. That is a rookie error. You should know to ask that before you started. Oh, it was so demoralizing. But yeah, so those things sort of walk around with you with input from the person before, which can be utilized beautifully. I wear a lot of my mom's clothes. My mom is no longer with us. Actually, the top I have right now was hers, and I wear a lot of her jewelry. So I feel like, you know, we've still got the connection going on. But if you get something secondhand, especially a jewel, it's worth tuning in just to see that it's not perhaps a piece of jewelry that the couple used to fight about a lot, or or that it's not something that, who knows, caused somebody's death, caused somebody's divorce, caused somebody's, you know, job loss or anything like that. There's a lot of dangers out there.
Is there anything that you would recommend as far as like cleaning goes for that kind of thing? Or
Absolutely.
can that be cleaned, or can it all be cleaned away?
I think that it can be mostly cleaned away.
Okay.
Now, I'm a very realistic mom of 4, and I know that nothing is ever as clean as you want it to be. So in real life, in my mind, I have a real separation between dirt and stains.
Okay.
Sometimes you can wash a white school shirt with boiling water and bleach, and still a little shadow of pen will remain there. And I think, well, that pen is not actually dirt, it's character. So the same in the esoteric world. There might be a shadow of the energies that you'd got rid of. There might be a stain of it, but if you have cleansed the item, then that quirk that stays with it will just be like a little character flaw, but it's not going to drag you down. So let's say, for example, you bought a secondhand ring and you felt weird with it because maybe the secondhand ring was an engagement ring and the person had gone into a lot of debt in trying to impress their intendant, and therefore that mindset of fear and financial anxiety and poverty lingers within that piece. You bring that thing home. If safe, you soak it in salt water. Now, salt can destroy some things. So if not safe, you just take some salt water and sprinkle it around. Okay. So you've cleansed it by water and by air. Okay. And then I saw that you've got a stick of joss there on the regular, and that gives you fire. Water and earth. Salt obviously is earth. And then you can put it through incense, and that gives you cleansed by fire. I'm totally lost. Cleansed by fire and cleansed by air. And then you've got the 4 elements. If you want to bring a 5th element of on top, I'm Wiccan by practice, so I like to go with the whole 5 elements. So an essential oil, something very safe. I don't know, like frankincense, or like if it is an engagement ring, then even something like rose or lavender. Lavender is a great like catch-all. Jasmine is great, and just sort of rub it again, maybe not around stones. There's sort of, I guess, pieces of furniture are not like super safe to go rubbing things on. So just do it on a safe area, because you are dealing with the esoteric realm. So you don't need to wash the entire thing in its physical form, you're basically cleansing its aura. So it's okay if you never touch it. It's okay if you're a confident esoteric practitioner and you do the entire thing just in your mind. That's still, it still works. It's still cool. But yeah, I would just sort of go cleanse it with the 5 elements. I will tell you a little story. It's not my story, but it's I used to work like long ago, 2001, with a psychic called Sarah, and she was fabulous. She was sort of blonde and much older than all of us, and had this fringe and had a wonderful sort of very British accent that you'd hear in movies. And she said, I bought this deck of tarot and I brought it home and I could feel too much from it. And so I was so arrogant in my younger years. I pointed at it and I said, whatever is in there, I banish you, be gone. And everything went out of it, she said. And I may as well have got it out of a packet of cereal for all the spirit it held in it afterwards. It was totally useless. So don't over cleanse stuff either.
Yeah.
That's Sarah's little warning.
That does make sense, because it does seem like you could go overboard with that kind of stuff, and that might cause it to lose all of its,
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, I think we're going to stop here because we're going to get on Instagram Live. So, but if you want to share where people can find you, and I will also put the links to where you can find her in the description box.
Thank you.
Where would
I am the easiest person to get hold of. Anywhere that you see my name is probably me. I do have a lot of imposters at the moment on TikTok and Instagram. Don't get drawn in by anyone. But my name is Inbaal. You spell it Inbaal. So Inbaal.com is me. That's the safest, most secure way to find me. Inbaal@hotmail.com is me. Inbaal@gmail.com is me. Inbaal on YouTube is me. Even my PayPal is just Inbaal. Very, very easy to locate. I should probably sort of find a way to put links via my my Wikipedia page, my little Wikipedia page. But yeah, there's gonna be links, but if you just Google me, you can probably find me quite easily.
Cool.
Thank
And
you.
You're going to be teaching a course soon, correct?
I am going to be teaching several courses. I used to teach face-to-face courses throughout the early noughties in London, and then I moved all the face-to-face lessons into a correspondence course, which is literally like 6 lessons typed up in Word documents. I'm very proud of it. I still have it. I still teach that course, but I am about to boldly step into the 21st century and record some courses. So I'm going to do full tarot courses, but I'm also going to do a mini course about the 2-card reading, which I think is an essential and super useful way of reading. I'm going to do some courses for people who want to take their practice and go professional with it, how to get like a full half-hour reading and apportion your time. I really want to position myself to be the psychic that takes care of disorganized empaths. I am the one organized beacon, and for Pisces, I think that's pretty impressive. I'm an organized beacon of light to show you that we can do this. Even empathic people can get themselves together and and return a reading within 24 to 48 hours. So I'm going to be out there teaching all of us how to rise together. I do not believe that competition is a thing.
I don't either.
I think there is room for all of us out there.
Absolutely.
And the more of us there are, the more of a demand there will be for us, because we need to be an integral part of the fabric of decision making in the world.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that.
Thank you.
All right. Well, everybody, thanks for watching, and I will see y'all later.